the greatest moment in my life.
Yikes. We may need to change that feed music, sir.
I've just seen that you sent me a message, Mag. Sorry, I just got 3 question marks off you.
Yeah, that's like, for context, guys, welcome to Chain Wrestling, first of all. But yeah, Sar panicked me because I didn't think the fucker was turning up today. Rocked into the StreamYard studio with 45 seconds to go.
I'm that confident in how professional we are that we can go live. Yes, 45 seconds before we went live, I actually got online. Because I started a new job today, which meant finishing a bit later. I was a little bit unorganized. Magsy, a little bit of context, mate. I actually didn't sit down and watch the match till about 20 past 8 today. And
wow.
And, my link and so on for next week's show, I figured out about 5 to 9, something like that. So, but
wow.
On that note,
professional.
Yeah. Here we are at 9 o'clock. So, ready to go. So it's literally a case of good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is Chain Wrestling with Mags and Sai via the glorious people from Radio Techers, which are kind of me and Mags as well, because we are glorious and wonderful. Oh, yes. I am Sai, and joining me as always, here's the rude awakening to my ultimate slumber. He is the Bobby the Brain to my intelligence drain. I just kind of went with that because I was running out of time and it kind of rhymed. Kind of works, maybe. A podcaster who, much like Rick Rude at SummerSlam 89, always likes to have other men's faces on his tights. The podfather himself, Mr. Mags. How are we, my friend?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back in the podcasting saddle. Even though I was technically here last week, I weren't really because it wasn't strictly live. Yeah, had a really good break. Really kind of recharged the batteries. Been back 3 days recorded. This is the 5th podcast I've recorded since. So there is that. But yeah, glad to be back.
I said to you, obviously we didn't interact or anything when you were away, and you said you kind of went, or effectively completely off the radar. I suppose you weren't on Twitter, you weren't doing anything, and I was like, how must that have been for you? Because surely, you sleep about 90 minutes a day and record around 7 podcasts every afternoon or evening or whatever. So I thought you'd be like waking up in a cold sweat, yearning for your microphone or something,
That's why I go radio silent, because if I didn't, I would be constantly checking, and I might as well have stayed at home. I've been recording podcasts, but yeah, I missed it. I missed you. I missed your face. I missed your face.
Mate. I missed you purely because I got no clue what I'm doing most of the time, and I had no one to message to help me out when I got stuck.
Give over. I mean, you've got some pretty cool Radio Techers news to share anyway. One of your projects is making its debut very soon. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, which one? Debut or return? Which one are we on about?
Well, we can talk about the debut one when we play the video later in the show.
Okay, yes.
But the return then.
Yeah, people will hopefully remember that initially I started off podcasting with a show called the SJP Wrestling Podcast. About a year ago now, Magsy, I suppose, isn't it? It's about 46, 47-ish episodes I did. And it basically went on hiatus a few weeks back. Real life got in the way. Having time to record episodes, obviously doing chain wrestling as well, kind of became my priority for a time. And it just kind of got to a stage where it was a bit difficult to keep up with. But then things settled back down again. And I always wanted to bring it back. So this coming Thursday, as you hear this, so that would be in a couple of days if you're listening or watching the live, or literally tomorrow if you're listening to the audio when it comes out on Wednesday via Radio Techers. The SJP Wrestling Podcast is returning tomorrow, I guess, for you audio listeners. Again, audio only, but it'll be out this coming Thursday, mate. Really looking forward to it.
Well, you say audio only, sir, but it will actually. I'll be snatching the audio, or you'll be emailing me the audio. and I'll be putting it up on the YouTube channel as well. Obviously, it won't have Sar's beautiful face on there. It'll be kind of like the Radio Techers episodes that we do sometimes, the 5 rounds episodes that we do sometimes, where we literally just put the audio on a static image. But if you get your content through YouTube, it will be there available for you as well. So
yeah, exactly. And it's going to be, for those who have never listened to the show before, that there was kind of 2 really sort of main formats, I guess. One was I would speak to local wrestlers, independent wrestlers, and so on, about how they got into wrestling, and then those guys would often come back and look at old pay-per-views with me and just talk about old matches they enjoyed and so on. And I'd also have good friends on, like Magsy, for example. He's been on a few times, and various others. I mean, the first guest is actually our good buddy Tanner from Radio Techers. He's coming on this Thursday, or has been on already, sorry, and will be on when the show comes out Thursday. An additional sort of format I'm toying around with is that we're going to be looking at a couple of matches. So a guest will choose a few matches. I might choose one to go along with it from any era, any promotion. We're just going to discuss them for a few minutes and then basically give our top 4, top 3, top 5, however many we decide upon, and sort of debate which one was better than the other in comparison and our own personal preferences. Or that could be quite an interesting format as well. So it's not going to be the same every week. It'll chop and change around. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Magsy.
Yeah, cool. I've always been a massive fan of your original podcast, your OG podcast, and I'm glad it's coming back, and I'm glad it's under the Techers umbrella, because we absolutely love you as part of the team, and the more SAR content, the better.
That's very kind of you to say, my friend. And obviously, it wouldn't have been in existence if it weren't for your help way back when either. So.
That is very true.
What a tool. You can just about to see it. I'll show you now. T-shirt I'm wearing today, seeing as most people in the comments like to jump on and go, look at size NWO shirt, or look at size Bret Hart shirt, or whatever. This T-shirt I'm wearing today, if I move it the right way, which way? No, that's not the right way, is it? There we go. Is actually, if you can make it out, Sharon Korea merchandise. Look at that. I don't know if I stand up. There we go. You can see it there.
That's badass.
And that is my good lady, Sharon, my wife, the author of her debut novel. Absolutely fantastic read. It's brilliant. Matt Willis, if he's in the chat, I'm not sure if he's here this evening or with us joining us later on or something like that. He's read it and vouches for how great it is. And she's created some pretty cool graphics for SJP as well, coming back this week. And she's used that talent to create some merchandise for herself based around her book. Sharon, if you're in the chat, chuck your links in there if possible. If not, we'll try and share them afterwards on the Chain Wrestling Twitter account. But yeah, there's some really cool merch out there for Sharon's book and Sharon's own author profile, I guess, author merch. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and continuing the kind of love fest for Mrs. P and her adept skill at merch. I got a surprise package just before I was going on holiday, sir.
Are we talking? Are we back to like men's faces on your tights again when you're getting surprise packages and stuff?
No, not quite. Your absolutely amazing other half sent me a package of merchandise, of goodies for Chain Wrestling. So let me just see if I can get my Twitter page to come up. It's
okay. Oh no, Magsy's frozen, gone quiet. Okay, it looks like we might have an issue with Magsy there, so we'll wait for him to rejoin us if he does soon. Hopefully so. Hopefully I'm not left on my Todd again, because I don't want to do that. Oh, hang on, I heard a noise then. Magsy, you back with us? Nope, apparently not. Magsy, you back with us? I think you're moving. Nope, it's just me. Oh no. Okay. Well, whilst Magsy's sorting out his whatever issues he has there, whether it's internet or so on, we'll carry on for the time being. Just with me, I'm afraid, people. You watch all the numbers suddenly plummet now because Mags is gone. But stay with me. Oh, no,
I'm
he's
back.
He's back.
I'm back.
You're
I
there.
have no idea. My computer just absolutely just had a shit fit then. But yeah, essentially, I'm trying to share a Twitter page. I don't know why it throws on that, but let's get to it now. So yeah, she sent me some badass merch, a couple of chain wrestling mugs there, some violation orders, which I'm for failing to love bubbly chocolate, which I don't understand why. Stickers, I think that's a coaster, and some pop sockets and badges, and then a load of horrific chocolate. I mean, that's not horrific, but this shower of sharties. But yeah, I absolutely. Well, Mrs. Magza certainly appreciated it, and she also appreciated this little thing as well. Sent the wife a cool present, and what was it? It was Sharon's amazing book. So
it was indeed.
Everyone was a winner. I really do appreciate it, and it's cool to have a friendship like we have with you and Mrs. P. So yeah, we absolutely appreciated that.
She does all right, doesn't she, my missus? She does all right.
She does.
It's the awesomeness from me rubbing off on her. That's what it is.
Exactly what it is. Well, we've actually got a comment about that in the chat. So let's quickly run through some. We've got Mrs. P giving us a wave. Dan multitasking. Dan Griffin recording Bang Bang, which you also appeared on this. This past week, which we'll get to. But he's also here for chain wrestling. Ray Cash wanted to say that, Sir, you are doing a good job, but you do need a new co-host. I can't disagree. And this is it. Sir had a sulk without you around.
I'll be honest with you. Monday night was weird. It was really strange. It was like I'd sort of normally have to get ready to do something, but I just kind of sat there. I ended up watching the show myself when it premiered and speaking to people in the chat whilst we were on the show.
That's awesome. That's cool.
It was so strange. It was very, very strange.
So we've got Scottish Danny in the chat. Hello, sir. How are you? Mrs. P says she is blushing. That was before my computer took a turd. Bonjour Bunders from Harry.
Harry, how you doing, my friend?
Anya in the chat. Hello, Anya. Said, did you enjoy the photo I sent? So yeah, she sent me a photo of Whisper Golds, but with hazelnut. She sent me they must have them in the shop. Awesome. Shop local to her. Yeah, I mean, I'm conflicted because obviously, you know, my hatred for bubbly chocolate, but hazelnut caramel does sound delicious.
Yeah, so that was always one of the best quality street, wasn't it? The purple one with the hazelnut in the. Is that Quality Street or Roses?
Yeah, that's Quality Street, I think.
Yeah,
yeah, they're like Cornish pasty shaped one.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, with the hazelnut in the middle, lovely.
Mrs. P saying, by the way, flowers are still going strong, and the flowers was nothing to do with me. That was all Mrs. Maggs. She said, make sure you send Sharon some flowers for the lovely gifts.
See, I reckon you and my wife talk more than me and my wife. You know, it's like some sort of long distance, sort of, I don't know, Burnley to Gloucester relationship where you've never actually met. When you know. What was that film? You've Got Mail? Was it that? Oh, no, they actually met and You've Got Mail, didn't they? They actually knew each other. I think so.
Yeah. It says, our pictures are the wrong way around. Like, it's weird, so let's just change that. Boom. Boom. How's that?
There we go. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? I feel more comfy over here now. I'm leaning on the right side. So then, Mags, you mentioned that you've been away. Was it a good break? Yes, you had fun? Good holiday?
Yeah, normally we like to go to Turkey on holiday, but obviously with COVID and things happening, we haven't actually had a break for the best part of 3 years. We still couldn't go to Turkey because it's on the red list. So we just did a bit of a staycation, went onto the East Coast for a week or so, had some beach time. We had a couple of days where it absolutely tipped down, but 5 days of glorious weather. So yeah,
Oh,
got some beach time. Had some kind of catch up with the wife and the kids and stuff like that. So yeah, it was fun all around.
Excellent stuff, mate. Excellent stuff. That's normally what we tend to do when we go on holiday. We have like a friend who I used to play football against, and then eventually I ran a club and he ran a club, and we were opposition then as well. And he has a caravan or via his family that they rent out, and we normally go to there, and it's lovely place right by the seaside and so on. I bloody love it, mate.
Yeah.
But that kind of brings us to our non-wrestling topic this week, or part of the majority of our non-wrestling topic this week, doesn't it? And we were looking.
Certainly does.
Yeah, we were looking at stories for good or bad holiday experiences, good or bad traveling experiences, that kind of thing. And we had some quite funny tales coming in, Mag, some quite unique and different tales from each other and so on. But we also, just for a bit of an extra giggle, suggested, what about wrestler theme music at your funeral? If you had to have one, if you had to pick a wrestler's theme to play at your funeral, and I hope people in the chat join in with this as well.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
If you had to pick a wrestler's theme to play at your funeral, whether it on a serious note, I don't know how serious you can be with that, or just to be a dick, basically, what would you choose? And we had some good responses to that as well, Magsy, didn't we?
We certainly did. Some interesting ones.
Yes.
I'm sure, I think it might have been James, but we'll get to it, who wanted the theme music from Rat to Censor, which is fucking, can you imagine getting put in the ground to warning.
Well, we'll have a quick run through it now, Magsy, shall we? Jump onto Twitter and have a little look at what people have been sending us. And we've got majority of them on the Chain Wrestling Twitter feed at chain_wrestling. And again, I'm going to be constantly looking down here because I'm going to be reading it off my phone, so I'm not technically savvy enough to bring it up anywhere else.
It doesn't know how to have a second window open.
I do. Watch this. Well, you can't see that, can you? No. All right. But that there.
Do this one, John.
Right. I can't see what's in the chat now because my second window just there is actually my format for this week's show. That's right. We've got a format, Mags. I work at this.
So, you can press the Windows key and the arrows and it'll flip the screen to like halfway.
Anyway, on Twitter this week.
Brilliant.
We'll start with someone just commented in the chat now, actually. Scottish Juggalo on Twitter, at Scottish Juggalo, Danny on Twitter.
Hello, Danny.
He says here about more of a traveling story, I guess. He says he was sat on the bus when suddenly a husband and wife started kicking each other over Tesco branded painkillers. Were you going through Gloucester? Was that possible? Held the bus up for nearly 40 minutes until the police arrived. What a waste of time. And he also mentions having the theme tune to Right to Censor.
Aren't they like 20p a packet?
What, prescription brand? Oh, Tesco branded painkillers. Well, yeah, paracetamol, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can't be more than 50p, surely. And they were kicking off on a bus for 40 minutes over that.
I suppose now there's a limit in there. You're not allowed to buy loads of them. So
maybe they wanted to top the sell. And they bought 2 packets each, and the other one went, I need 3 of those packets. Yeah. Give me one of that.
Ari in the chat there. There's 16p in Lidl's.
I mean, when you are planning to top yourself, you're better off doing it for 32p rather than £1, I suppose.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, also,
Danny confirms it was in southeast London, so not shocked.
No. And I don't know if you heard that. Danny also says he would have the right to censor theme at his funeral. Yeah, which is just, I find that
great pick.
It's so annoying, and it would just be like one last great big screw you to everyone, wouldn't it? Having that, because it's just effectively a collection of I suppose car alarms and sirens,
essentially a klaxon.
Yeah, and it just goes. Do you remember WrestleMania 17? And you had that, because it was at the stadium. They had that really long aisle. And when Right to Censor came out, or when Ivory came out, who was part of Right to Censor, the music was playing for what seemed like half the show because it's such a long aisleway for them to walk down. And it just, oh my God, I got to mute it if I rewatch it. I can't do it. Honestly, it makes my teeth itch where I'm so furious, Yeah. Oh,
But it did exactly what they wanted it to do. It wanted it to annoy.
Yeah, very much so. We have a message here from the Good Cop Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast at Good Bad Wrestle. I'm assuming this is from our good buddy Graham, because Matt sent us another one in a DM privately later on in the week. He says here, whilst traveling around the USA in 2004, he was at Houston Astros, and this was the last stadium he needed to see every Major League Baseball stadium in the country. Hi, Charlie. How you doing, sweetheart? You all right? Just popping up in the chat there for our audio listeners who have no idea. I'm not just being random and shouting out. Hi, Fred. Hi, Bobby. Hi, Steve. Yeah, if you're listening just on the audio and I do seem a bit random, I'm responding to somebody in the chat. I'm not very good at it, so just bear with us. We'll pick it up as we go along. Graham says he was visiting every Major League Baseball stadium in the country, and he was at Houston Astros, and it was the last one he needed. He also got Mike Hampton to autograph his cap. Mags, do you know who Mike Hampton is?
I have not got a clue.
Nah, not me. No. Could just be some random bloke in the street, couldn't it?
His neighbour.
Yeah, that's it. I got my neighbour to sign my hat. I didn't. But oh, there you go. He was actually pitching at his first MLB game, so he's a pitcher in the MLB, in the Major League Baseball. So now we know. Probably should have read that before we mocked it, I suppose, shouldn't we?
I mean, we could have, but I would have ended up mocking it anyway.
Fair enough. He was eating his concessions whilst watching the game, all good cop moments, until he realised he didn't have his wallet anymore. He had about $50 in his car and about 1,500 miles from home with no money or ID. Check out the lost and found, and it had not been handed in. They suggested checking in again at the end of the game. Doesn't remember anything about the game except trying to figure out what he could do. He did have a friend in Dallas. Sorry, I got to scan to the next screen. Where are we? He did have a friend in Dallas. When he checked back in later, the wallet was handed in, but without the $200 that were in it. He'd recently withdrawn that from the ATM. All his cards and ID were intact, but the cash was gone. Not a fun time, but the other parts of the trip were great, and he upped his state count to 48, which is still stuck on this day. So 50 states, Mags? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Is that something people do in the States?
I mean, people do it in the UK. They go visiting every football ground in the country. I remember a guy who did it all in one season, which is phenomenal. But it's not something I'd be particularly interested in. But it's sad that someone stole his money, though. That's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, he was probably in Gloucester as well, to be honest, wasn't he? He says he was in Houston.
Tesco sold $200 worth of paracetamol that very day.
He says he was in Houston, but he was actually at the Spa cricket ground in Gloucester, dodging the needles on the floor. Our good buddy Rob at UTT Rob on Twitter says he caught a train from Oslo to Stockholm. The train stopped for the Norway-Sweden border, and everyone got off and had to do passport checks, and then for some random reason, wait for a bus to take him the rest of the way. He was not a happy camper. He said it would have took about 5 hours. So
the train was meant to go from Oslo to Stockholm
and got replaced by a bus.
Wow! So even in Sweden, they have shitty bus replacement services.
And they're supposed to be all efficient and stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, clearly not.
Not at all. He also says here for a funeral song with Dr. Wagner's Bad Medicine being poor taste. I don't know that song.
No, I don't. But Rob does like some very obscure wrestling.
Okay, I'll look it up. What I'll probably do is on the audio version, if anyone wants to play that back later in the week, some of these songs that we mentioned, you'll probably be able to hear at some stage in the episode as we go along. If you don't listen to the audio version because you watch us live, why not? Why wouldn't you want to listen to us twice? We're freaking awesome. Put your finger out.
Yeah.
Matt Willis at the Matt Attack UK. He says for the song at his funeral, he would love Who I Am, China's entrance theme. Is that the one that when she split from Triple H and
Don't treat me like a woman.
That's it. Yeah.
Don't treat me like a man.
Yeah. No, it doesn't sound quite like that, but
it sounds better.
Our good buddy Dan at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter. We got a few tales from him.
He never fails to disappoint. Dan
No.
is absolutely class at this.
He says he works in travel and got sent to China for a familiarization trip to experience what our customers do. Landed in Beijing, went for a wander, failed to order food in a McDonald's, ended up finding the Chinese version of an Irish pub and having a few pints with a colleague instead. On the same China trip, jet lag was quite severe. So he got off to go to the Terracotta Warriors. One off his bucket list, he says. What's the Terracotta Warriors, Max?
So the Terracotta Warriors are a massive room, I think, of statues. You've probably seen the picture of them, and they're all essentially ancient Chinese warriors, but made out of terracotta. I think, and Dan will probably correct me, but I think they're meant to signify the strength of the Chinese army or something like that.
Right. Okay. So they'd have been like terracotta color, as in like the terracotta pots and plants that we get and stuff.
Yeah, made out of terracotta. Yeah.
So same color as morph then. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Right. Okay.
The Morph Army.
The Morph Army. There you go.
Apologies to any Chinese listeners that we do have.
I don't think we have any, mate. I was looking on the analytics.
And we're not going to get any from your xenophobia towards the terracotta army.
I was looking on we've got a listener in Iran. Hello to our listener in Iran. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Spread the word.
Yeah, let's build up a following. If we can be the biggest wrestling / non-wrestling podcast in Iran by this time next month, I reckon that's a real achievement. So let's try and push for the Iran market.
It may have been the Iron Sheik,
All right.
And
Does he live there?
Well, he may do. I don't bloody know. I know he's from Iran.
Anyway, Dan saw the Terracotta Warriors, had a dinner and a show that night. The Morph Army, that's right. The dinner was a dumpling banquet. I can't say that word. What is that? Banquet. That's right, isn't it?
Banquet.
Yeah. I thought that didn't sound right when I said it.
Harry, I am with you on this. I definitely worry about that. I'm never going on holiday again because he clearly gets so distraught when I'm away that he starts forgetting how to read.
Yeah, pretty much. So the dinner was a dumpling meal. And banquet. So I ate loads and fell asleep several times during the show. Woke himself up snoring too. Must have made a really good impression on his Chinese colleagues there. 3 weeks prior to China, Dan continues, I was on holiday in Orlando. But he only gets about it a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
About a week in, 3 of the party went swimming with dolphins, and me and another decided on a rest day. Ended up in the boozer early afternoon, confusing the barman with how much we drank. Not many people in the States can drink like the English or the Irish, can they? I suppose. No. It's a different culture, isn't it? I think
their pants aren't even proper pants now.
No. How long we drank for and how little we ate also confused the barman. We'd been there about 4 hours when the others turned up. We ordered food, and the barman then came over and asked for the 10th time if we wanted the bill. We said no, we've eaten now, we want more beer. He looked at us like we were aliens. The look on his face when we went in the next day was also priceless. Oh, Dan. I'm keeping up the good relationship between the English and the British and the United States. Ari says he is the worst person to share a bog roll with. Amazing. Yes, download. Bloody hell. Took a whole roll in, mate. It weren't a pleasant afternoon, I'll tell you that. But you're there for 5 days living off takeaway burgers and lager. What do you expect?
Yeah. And
it's not good.
Festival toilets are not nice places.
Not at all, mate. Not at all. Dan continues, on the same trip we were in Disney Hollywood Studios. I squatted down to pick something up that I had dropped and ended up splitting the front of my shorts right over the crotch. Had to spend $40 on Mickey Mouse trackers to avoid looking like he was constantly trying to get his dick out. Also on this same trip, I'm pretty sure I farted in one of the Disneyland queues and made a kid cry. That, when I read that, genuinely made me laugh out loud.
What a way to end that story. Mickey Mouse pants and farting in a kid's face. Brilliant. Dan, you are definitely going to hell. There's no two ways about that.
There's a special section of hell reserved just for you.
Yeah, but at least you've had a glorious time whilst being here.
Our good buddy Steve-O. It's great to hear from Steve-O again. At Total Steve-O on Twitter. He says, when 23, a couple of us went to Barcelona for the weekend. The game we'd watch, that sounds great. The game we'd watch would be Barca versus Atletico Madrid. But when Atletico were rubbish, he says here, on a Sunday. They went out for a few drinks, went into a pub, and they were showing a game on the TV. Thought, how weird. They're showing the Barca versus Madrid replay preparing for tomorrow. After a few seconds, it dawned on us that it was the game they were supposed to be at. Steve-O and his mates ran as fast as they could to get to the nearest tube station, get to the new camp, get to the ground to watch the game. By the time they arrived, it was the 70th minute. Barca were 5-1 up, and they just seen Messi get substituted. Oh my God.
Wounding.
How devastated would you be?
To travel all that way to watch the majority of the match in a pub.
Yeah. Thinking it was a rerun of last season.
I mean, because that's a normal thing. That's what usually happens.
And then arriving and Messi, one of the main reasons you'd be going, I'd assume, is being substituted as you walk in, 20 minutes left on the clock.
Wow.
Oh, man.
You'd be devastated. You would be absolutely devastated.
Yeah. Steve-O also says here, a funny story he was reminded of as he came across the photos of this trip to Barcelona was in the Barcelona Sex Museum, accidentally breaking off a dildo. Essentially doing a Stifler from American Pie 2. You know what it's like. See a plastic penis, got to play with it. I'm not sure you have.
No.
I don't think you I'm okay normally. I'm all right with that sort of thing. I can avoid it myself.
I mean, do you see many plastic penises going about your daily business?
Quite a few.
Yeah, we call them Liverpool fans.
Oh no, let's not go down that road. People are going to start getting upset, even if they are. Well, no, it won't be Liverpool. They're not intelligent enough to log onto YouTube. Don't worry about it. We're our good buddy, poor mate Tolly, messaging the show at Rain Counter on Twitter.
We miss your face, Mr. Tolly.
Yeah, Tolly, if you're right there, but we all miss you. But come back. Your ideas we've discussed for SJP and all sorts. Get involved, man. Me, you, and Magsy said about doing some stuff on there. So he says he's been thinking about the funeral music question for a while. It's difficult because he's dead set on having Design for Life by the Manic Street Preachers played at his funeral.
Oh, yeah, because he's a stan of the Manic Street Preachers. We once did a quiz on Badlands, him versus Omega Luke. And that his specialist topic was the Manic Street Preachers. And I specifically went out to try and find the hardest questions, and he got 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's brilliant. That is knowledge, isn't it? He says, have any wrestlers ever used Design for Life? I don't think so. There must be some indie guy somewhere who's used Design for Life as a entrance.
I mean, as Mark Andrews or Flash Morgan Webster used it, maybe in their indie times, something like that. It's passable. We'll let him have it. It
would work as a wrestling theme as well, I think.
Yeah.
This is a great shout as well. This is at the Appliance 180 on Twitter, our good mate Will Kitchen. Brilliant to hear from Will again, as always. And this is, it took me a couple of seconds to twig whose entrance theme this was, because I always think of the song being a song in its own right. But he said Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple, which is an absolutely storming record. I quite like Deep Purple anyway. They're kind of up my street, being like old vintage hard rock and so on. But this is 80s Deep Purple, so it was a little bit different. But this is an absolutely banger of a record. And it was used by Shane Douglas in ECW.
All right, yeah.
When they didn't give a rat's ass about music, entrance themes. They just play anything they wanted, and it's overdubbed horribly on the WWE network now. But Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple, what a tune! Absolutely storming that is.
Great pick. I didn't even know it was I didn't even remember that it was a wrestling theme tune now.
It took me so long because I remember that I love that song anyway. So it took me a little while to sort of, okay, has he just chucked a song out there? I'm really sort of thinking, and then I twigged, oh no, Shane Douglas in ECW used it. And if you go on the network now and watching Shane Douglas matches, that sort of keyboard intro, it's kind of like that all the way through, where they've just badly dubbed it to get rid of the Deep Purple record.
It is bad. The network, especially when you remember, you're going back and you're watching something that you remember happening, and then you hear the generic music that they put over it. Takes you out of the moment.
I mean, we had it with the match that we're going to review shortly, Magsy, with Rick Rude's entrance theme. That's the dubbed version. It's trash. It's nowhere near as good.
Yeah, it's essentially elevator music crossed with porn music almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Elevator porn music.
Yeah. Well, that's a niche market.
It's out there, mate, if you look hard enough. So I've been told.
Rule 34.
Yeah. I'm here to press your buttons. Are you going down? Anyway.
Doors opening.
Paul also messaged in to say, to say the corporate ministry one would be slightly terrifying for any mourners, which I thought would be a great touch as well. That'd be quite cool. Dan Griffin saying he wants to write a sense of music as well. It seems to be quite a popular one. I smell a book in that, the wife says. Yes, her books are a little bit steamy, shall we say. UTT Rob, what's this? The best network dub is Sid's WCW dub. It's better than the original. Oh, okay, I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even aware that was dubbed, but I don't know what Sid had in the later years in WCW anyway. So
yeah, I can't really remember. I just know his WWF music because
that's good.
We're going through that period in a changing attitude right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, you forget how white hot Sid was in that period. The crowd absolutely loved him.
Yeah, totally. Have you reached Survivor Series 96 yet? I've not listened to this week's show. I know you've done SummerSlam 96 and you did. Are you coming up to the next in your house, aren't you?
Yeah, we've just covered. We've just finished recording the episodes for just after Man Games. So I think the next episode to drop is, I think it's the one after Man Games. They're like the fallout from the Mankind and Shawn Michaels match. Okay,
well, I suppose I was going to say spoiler alert, but it's 1996. If you don't already know,
it's like 25 years old.
When Sid finally beats Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series for the title at Madison Square Garden, they are wild for him, but he's supposed to be the heel, and Shawn is not happy at all. It's brilliant watching him throw his toys out the pram. Well, what's that, man, Max? He's Scottish Danny.
Scottish Danny has come up in the clutch and said that China White by the Scorpions is Sid's WCW theme.
Okay, I'm really disappointed in myself then because I like the Scorpions. Mm-hmm. I'm going to listen to that as soon as we're done.
You didn't know, so don't beat yourself up about it.
No, mate, I'm upset with myself. Andy at Bang Bang Podcast apparently is recording this evening at the moment. Quite disappointed with that. Where are you, Andy? Come on, Monday nights is Chain Wrestling Live.
It's Bath Night and Chain Wrestling Night. What the hell is that all about?
Come on.
Don't make a start Monday Night War because you will not win.
In reference to when I was on Bang Bang last week, Mr. Wonderful's WCW theme, me and he discussed. He says either that or the Bushwhackers theme. Now, that'd be great, especially if the pallbearers were carrying him out whilst doing the Bushwhacker walk, and the coffin bobbing back and forth. And
then opened it up and licked him. Just licked his bald head.
I just licked his dead bald head.
Yeah.
Oh no. I suppose you'd have to get your head make-upped, wouldn't you, if you were dead? Because otherwise it'd be like, do you know what I mean? If you're bald, you'd have to have makeup on your head, wouldn't you? If you're bald and dead, do you know what I mean?
Would you?
Well, yeah, don't they make you up, don't they, when you're dead? You don't just lie there all like blue and manky, do you?
I don't know.
Yeah, don't they?
I suppose I assume so if you're having an open casket, but no, with me it's just nail the fucker shut, like weld it shut.
Weld it shut.
He's never getting back out of this again.
The thing is, yeah, you're saying like, you know, if it's an open casket, but if you're actually talking physically about licking the dead guy's head, then it has to be an open casket, surely.
But yeah, I concede the point. So Andy's now made up like mascara and eyeshadow, lip hair, and false tan. I'm assuming on the old Swede,
like proper orange Hogan style false tan, but only starts there. Just orange going back like that, and bushwhacker overalls,
and a bitten hat.
That's it. That you've seen these adverts for like, you know, this is my death wish, and you do say how you want to be buried. Andy from Bang Bang, that's what we want to see. Now we want to see proof that is how you're going to be pass on. Do you know what I mean?
We want Mrs. Bang Bang to confirm that she's going to bury you like a bushwhacker.
That would be fantastic. At Millwall Chris 1 on Twitter, our good buddy Chris there, he says he'll take Akeem's entrance music. Thank you very much. And speaking of Millwall Chris, he is actually this evening, rather than watching Chain Wrestling live, he has gone to a WWE live event.
Yes, he has.
And he has just messaged me now, and it literally says here, breaking news. So there you go, Chain Wrestling breaking news. Oh my goodness.
We have a video for that. Oh no, it's in the other brand, so I can't do it. But
sorry, we'll just go. That'll do. Some twat just jumped the barriers at a WWE live event in London during the Kevin Owens Baron Corbin match. Oh, I hope he got his ass kicked.
So we have got a video for it because that person is clearly
People, dick alert!
Oh, a teeny weeny.
There we go. Our first outsourced pimple dick.
Yeah, look at that. Millwall Chris, not even listening. But there you go. You've made history.
When he listens back, he'll hopefully appreciate the fact that he is the first ever outsourced pimple dick.
There you go. He continues with a holiday story. Whilst on holiday in Albufeira. Does that sound like a place to you?
It sounds Portuguese, perhaps.
Okay, I'm going to edit this so on the audio version I sound all right. While on holiday in Portugal,
record yourself saying Albufeira like multiple times in different accents.
Albufeira.
I think that's what it is. Albufeira.
Oh, you went a bit Alan Partridge at the end there. Whilst on holiday in Albufeira. In the 90s, me and a mate met, and he puts in brackets, make of that what you wish. So obviously he didn't just have a conversation with these two young girls. One was from Bradford and one was from Bingley. Always made him laugh, Bradford and Bingley. That is quite funny.
I mean, our American or foreign or Iranian listeners might not kind of twig that, but Bradford and Bingley is a building society here in the UK, named after two Yorkshire towns. The towns, obviously, Bradford and Bingley. So, yeah, that's actually a cool one.
Yeah. So, my wife there in the chat, Albufeira. That does sound a little bit more likely than what I agree.
I agree with Scottish Danny's approach. Sounds Portuguese equals good enough for us, lad.
Yeah, there we go. I'll be honest with you. This message that Millwall Chris sent in, when I first read it, I didn't get it, and it's literally now reading it out on the show. Bradford and Bingley that I went, okay, yeah, Bradford and Bingley, and I got it. So I thought he was just boasting because he got to hook up on a holiday or something.
Oh my word, brilliant. Conor McCabe in the chat. Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh yeah, how you doing? Okay. The magnificent Matt Willis at the Matt Attack UK. This is his holiday story here. He said this is a well-known story. But yeah, here we go. He and his partner Chris were landing in Orlando 2 years ago for their first vacation together at Disney World. Whilst we were waiting for the gate to open, we were informed by the air crew, please remain in your seats as the police need to board the airplane. Minutes passed and they stopped at Matt's seat.
with guns trained upon his forehead.
Well, he says, and armed police began to escort him off the plane.
Oh, good God.
So there I was in a different country with armed police, M16s in their hands, and escorted to the customs offices. Terrified about why, I asked what was going on. Turned out it was standard procedure, and every 2 hours they pick a plane at completely random and a random seat to search, and it just happens to be mine. They did their check and sent me on my way. They were fairly professional and looked after me, even shook my hand when I headed to meet up with Chris and enjoy the rest of my holiday. I responded, "Holy crap, that must have been terrifying and horrible." He said it was surreal. It took over 2 hours. They never mistreated him. They just took so long because they had to go all the way through his phone and his iPad. Oh, wow. You want to make sure you're deleting your search history, don't you, when you're going on, you know?
So that's my phone being left at home when I travel to the States.
Yeah. It's difficult for you to explain away all that elevator porn, mate. You know?
What's this chain wrestling bollocks that you're part of? Yeah, you're not allowed in this country.
Yeah. Keep trying to communicate with one person in Iran via a YouTube show. You know. And to finish up, and I've purposely left this one last. It's 2 words, and I'm going to play this on the audio version so everyone can hear it. What wrestling theme would you want played at your funeral or somebody else's? Let us know here. 5 Nerds Go simply responded 2 words, Mr. Ass. And I think that is a great shout. Billy Gunn's old Mr. Ass theme. You can't.
Well, I'm an ass man. Bam,
Bam,
bam.
bam.
5 Nerds coming in clutch again.
Absolutely fantastic. And that's kind of it, mate, from Twitter. You got any good, bad holiday stories, or is there anything you want to particularly bring up with regards to what you would like you played at your funeral, Mags? And I will make sure it happens, all right?
When you kill me for this this imaginary affair with Mrs. P.
I mean, let's be honest. Who am I kidding? There's no way on earth that you're going to die before me. Not with the way I live.
Let's bet on that. I'm happy to take that bet.
I bet you 1 whisper gold.
Okay, I bet you were an actual Yorkie then, a Yorkie bar.
Okay, no worries.
So I don't know if I've actually told this story on Chain Wrestling before, or at least part of it. But if you remember back to when we did an episode about injuries, and the multiple injuries that I've done to my leg and my knee.
Yeah.
So a few years back, we were holidaying in Turkey. I think it was actually our first time we'd actually gone to Marmaris, and we went for a day in a water park. So Turkish kind of health and safety is pretty lax at the best of places. I mean, the hospitals are not good at all. But anyway, we went to this water park, and kind of like the aisles and the runways and the passageways were all covered in kind of almost like an astroturfy style material. So basically, if it got wet, you still had some grip, I suppose.
Okay.
So I was going to go to a locker to lock up some of my stuff. And on the way back from the locker, we were going to go to some water slides. Anyway, we get to a corner in this this kind of like pathway, and the corner was actually covered in like a slimy moss on the path, but it was the exact same color as the AstroTurf.
Right.
So you didn't. So essentially, you were standing in it. You wouldn't know until you felt the squelch that it was moss. But me, I didn't feel the squelch until I slipped on it. Right? So already having real issues with my knee. Then being a chunky bloke, I've got a bit of heft. So I went down. Down basically on the knee, but they had like a rail going around like the pool area. So I tries to grab on this rail as if to kind of cushion the fall. But the rail wasn't attached to anything. It was one of those like what you get in banks where they want to kind of direct the queue.
Right.
So it was like the poles and the kind of like seatbelt thing. So I grabs that. Attached to nothing, so that provides no assistance whatsoever. but what it did do, it directed where I was falling. So I essentially fell on top of the knee that I have damaged multiple times. Spent the rest of the holiday in agonizing pain. Wouldn't go to the hospital because, like I said, Turkish hospitals are not good at all. But it did. There was a happy ending because it did. It did mean I discovered Raki because that was what was issued as essentially as a painkiller. So I got arsehole for the next 4 or 5 days.
Is that the clear little shot stuff?
Yeah, the taste of aniseed.
Right. Okay.
And it's strong. Oof, it's strong.
Yeah.
The only really the issue was that put paid to enjoying a lot of the holiday. But our hotel was on like 4 floors, and they had no lift. Guess where my room was?
It's probably best having no lift if you're around, eh?
Well, yeah, but my room, our room was on the 4th floor. So,
brilliant!
With a gimpy knee, I had to struggle up 4 flights of stairs, which was brilliant. So yeah.
So you just spent the rest of the whole day up there, just isolated then?
No, did a chat. I just took 45 minutes to go up and down and just limp around everywhere.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that's the worst holiday story I can have. And I feel like being on this show makes me relatively normal because I don't have any of these wacky, like out there stories that Dan Griffin has.
What, like farting inside your Mickey Mouse shorts and making a kid cry? That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And for the wrestling funeral music, I think I'd like probably RVD's One of a Kind. That'd be a cool one to that one. Or to let the devil know that I'm coming. Eric Bischoff's "I'm Back and Better Than Ever" music.
Yeah, good shot. I think for my funeral music, I mean, you could have DX, couldn't you? And when they say we've got 2 words for you, you can go, "I'm dead" or something, you know.
Oh, Jesus.
Or the Brood. Oh, what about the Brood?
Oh yeah, that'd be frightening. Have all your pallbearers dressed in white billowy shirts, and then the lights go off, and then they're all covered in blood.
Yeah,
your
loads
blood.
Of my blood.
Your blood.
Yeah, well, that could start the wake because my blood's about 60% proof. So,
and then it just goes up in flames.
What a waste. Oh, Sharon here in the chat says, "Whoever goes first, the other can leave a chocolate of choice to lay the rest with you."
No, you are not burying me with an arrow or a whisper. I'll haunt you. If you do that, I will haunt you for the rest of your days.
Oh man, be easier to podcast if you're haunting down here, though, wouldn't it? We only need one mic and stuff. We'll have to worry about internet signal. Oh, Sharon says about gimpy knee, and Scottish Danny follows it up with "We need a chain wrestling gimpy knee T-shirt."
Well, our merchandise aficionado, Sharon in the chat. Yeah. Get on that, madam. Get on that.
Get your merch requests in to Sharon P in the chat.
And going back to the merch, she's done a brilliant job. So if you guys are interested in any chain wrestling merch, she can definitely sort out like we said, Christmas packages or gift packages, stuff like that, because the merch is quality stuff, absolutely quality.
Yeah, it's good. And T-shirts are something that we're sort of looking at, toying with. Sharon's got a few ideas she's going to send us to look at, Magsy, when we're a bit more, when she's got them a bit more finalised and so on. I believe one design is "I know words," which I think is going to be fantastic. But I don't want to give out too many spoilers.
And Impini.
Probably the worst holiday I had, and it wasn't even that. It was bad, I suppose, in comparison to others, but it was okay in other aspects. But we went to, again, a caravan park sort of place. We went somewhere. I think we had an apartment this time, or like a little flat they have in these places.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah,
a chalet. We had a chalet.
I was there. I got that far, but basically a stomach bug went around the kids.
Oh,
and I effectively had to pay how many hundreds of pounds this was to travel. yeah, basically, I spent a few £100, close to £1,000. I don't remember exactly what it was, like 800, whatever it was, several £100 to travel with my wife over a couple of hours to sit somewhere with not as many TV channels as my own house and clean up sick for 5 days. So that was awesome. I was really happy about that. So,
and after all that, you needed another holiday.
Yeah, exactly. And Sharon in the chat there, I'll just bring that one up now. That she's spot on. We actually made the holiday coincide with Sharon's best friend's wedding.
Brilliant.
So Sharon ended up being the only person who could go to the wedding. Everyone else had to stick because I had to look after the kids. And it was more important Sharon went than me because, well, no one really likes me. So she was, and it's Sharon's mate. So, and I stayed to look after the kids. The kids couldn't go because they were poorly. Just a disaster all round, mate. Just a disaster all round.
It's almost like you manufactured a stomach bug to go around just so you didn't have to go.
You reckon? I poisoned my own children so I wouldn't have to socialise.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I've never done that
Here you
before.
go, kids.
Now you
Eat this
mention
shellfish.
Oh, Sharon was a bridesmaid as well. So, yeah, she kind of had to be there. The dress didn't fit me, you see, so wasn't loose enough in the bosom area. I suppose we're at the end now, then, Magsy, of our non-wrestling topics. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting in contact with the show again and helping us fill an hour with nonsense and daftness. But I suppose you wouldn't expect it any other way from us. At Chain Wrestling, at Chain_Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook is the place to go, the place to follow, and the place to comment. Magsy, I suppose, shall we talk a little wrestling at last?
Let's do it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
So then, my option won the poll from 2 weeks ago or whenever it was.
What a horrible returning from holiday gift that was.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, mate, really.
No. I'm going back on holiday and I'm never coming back.
You won't be able to survive, mate, with my podcasting.
You are absolutely right. I mean, it means talking to your family and stuff like that, which, yeah, that's not good.
I'm all right because my family come and talk in the chat.
A man just like, thank God for that. He's recording. We can go and actually have fun.
He's off in his little room there, look,
yeah,
watching his elevator porn, talking to his mates. The option that won the poll was from SummerSlam 1989. Ravishing Rick Rude defending his recently won, I suppose, Intercontinental Championship. He only picked it up at the pay-per-view before, didn't he, at Wrestlemania 5, against the former champion, the Ultimate Warrior. The reason I went with this is because I remember this being really, really good from my childhood. I've mentioned God knows how many times the video of SummerSlam 89. I've still got somewhere, but it's basically unplayable because it's been worn out. And this was my favorite match from that show. I loved the Warrior. I loved Rick Rude. I loved all about it. It just seemed awesome. Rewatching it, not gonna lie, Magsy, about an hour and a half ago, it didn't come across anywhere near as good as I remember, mate.
Yeah, I had exactly the same opinion. It hasn't aged well. I can understand why at the time it did well and it got a lot of plaudits. But yeah, look, watching it back some 30 years on, yeah, it's not aged as well as some of the matches we've watched.
Yeah, exactly. Dan Griffin there in the chat saying that they're actually having a break of their recording of Bang Bang. Andy's just off for a wee. Wish him good luck. Good luck with your wee, Andy. I hope everything goes well, my friend. Everyone is fully behind you. Not literally, because that'd be strange. And then you might get some sort of anxiety issue and stop mid-flow, and it'd be a whole thing.
He might have a shower bladder.
He might, you know. The Rude Warrior, I suppose, program, the Rude Warrior feud, I thought was actually quite well done. In 1989, you had this long-term storytelling aspect, because you only had the 4 pay-per-views, didn't you? And then you had a couple of Saturday night main events chucked in here and there. So, I mean, initially, the Warrior being IC champion, his first, I suppose, big interaction with Rude on a pay-per-view was the Royal Rumble of this year. So you're going back 7.5 months, potentially 8 months, from January to SummerSlam in August, where they're having this pose down.
Essentially, storylines went from year to year almost. And just breaking news, Bang Bang said he's not having a wee, he's having a poo. So
okay.
Dan might be quite a while yet.
Yeah. Well, that's good news, though. That's good news. That's good poo timing, because then these two can separately, communicate with us via the chat and watch the rest of our show, which is what you should be doing on a Monday night anyway.
Yeah, recording on a Monday night. How dare
God's
you?
sake. I hope it was like a proper surprise poo. He's still having a wee. Oh God. Yeah, like that. That'll teach you, won't it, for recording on a Monday?
A surprise poo.
A surprise poo. Come on, everyone's had one. Anyway, yeah, the sort of pose down, the Jesse the Body Ventura Award thing they did at the Rumble.
Yeah.
It was literally just, like I said, a pose down, which ended with Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan attacking the Warrior. And from what I've heard on other podcasts with the likes of Pritchard and what I've read in magazines and so on, the Warrior wasn't looked favorably after this moment, especially with Rude and Heenan, because he no-sold the attack when they were supposed to be working him over.
Down.
Yeah, they sprayed baby oil in his face as he was posing, which was supposed to like cause him issues with his and he just stood there and no-sold it. I mean, come on, mate.
To be fair, what did they expect from the Warrior? He no-sold pretty much everything. I mean, even in this match, there is a period where Rick Rude takes control, but essentially, Warrior no-sells pretty much everything.
Yeah. That takes us to Wrestlemania 5, which was early April, I believe, in 1989. The Warrior defending his Intercontinental Championship against Rude. And in what I suppose at the time was quite the upset, Rude actually came away with the championships.
Yep.
The championship, sorry, not plural, championship. The finish to this, I've always loved Mags, because he goes for a suplex to bring Rude into the ring. Bobby Heenan trips him and holds his legs down, meaning he can't kick out, and gets the 1-2. I think it's so simple, but it's brilliant.
Yeah, it absolutely worked. And it was kind of almost like Rude, Warrior versus the Heenan family rather than just Warrior versus Rude, because there's even on the last edition of, I think it was Superstars, leading into this event, Andre the Giant attacks Warrior as well with a choke. So I love this kind of like faction against like the Great White Hope style storyline telling. And as bad as the match was, like you said, the way they told the story was pretty good.
Yeah, the build up, and again, it's that thing of long term. By the time SummerSlam comes around, you kind of, as a young fan, you're desperate for Warrior to beat this guy, because it's been building for so long, and the way he lost the title and so on. You're desperate for him to get his hands back on the championship, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. You definitely. I mean, he was second only to Hogan as being like the huge star. So the build-up was always for him to drop the belt and get that kind of like that massive cheer at SummerSlam, and he did. To be fair, if he was good at one thing, it was getting a reaction out of the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. We get a couple of interviews during the show, one with Rude and Heenan. I think Bobby Heenan's brilliant here, saying you're not going to need to paint your face tomorrow, because you're going to have one blue eye, one black eye,
yeah,
courtesy of the Intercontinental Champion. That was great.
They were essentially calling Warrior a liar when he was saying he's going to regain the Intercontinental title, how he's going to let down all the humanoids and the little warriors. Yeah, Bobby the Brain was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Kind of generic, I suppose, from Rick Rude. A lot of his promos around this time was around the same thing, that he's sexier than the average man. All the crowd are fat, sweaty, out of shape, inner city, sweat hog, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he knew how to draw heat, and he had a glorious permanent mustache.
Oh, fantastic, wasn't it? It's funny with Rude because he was with Heenan this whole time, this whole run. And this was like the biggest exposure he'd had yet, wasn't it? He'd wrestled in the AWA, he'd wrestled for, I think, USWA and World Class and so on. But they're very much territories that were dying out, and he jumped ship to the WWF. So this is the biggest exposure he had had to this point. Upon leaving the WWF after SummerSlam 90, I think it was, might have made it to Survivor Series 90, potentially. But around that time, he wrestled in Japan and then ended up in WCW and was part of the Dangerous Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
I always remember Rude being quite good on the mic, but both of his biggest runs, his WCW run in the Dangerous Alliance, was with Medusa and Paulie Dangerously, effectively acting as a mouthpiece for him. And his run in the WWF here, he's got one of the best ever to do it in Bobby Heenan. But I always remember him being good on the mic. It's funny when you look at it that way, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, you can go to his run as part of DX, and then when he showed up on Raw and Nitro in the same week, that promo he cuts on Nitro is superb, absolutely scathing. So yeah, it's interesting that someone who's known for being good on the mic needed a mouthpiece in his two biggest runs, I suppose.
Yeah, very strange. The Warriors interview is typical cocaine filled, screaming and shouting. He was off his tree, mate, when he must have been.
So I watched this with Mrs. Maggs, and she only had one comment about this, and it was, Jesus Christ, how big's his neck? Because he's like there snorting and huffing and puffing, and his neck swells up, and it's honestly, he looks like a bullfrog.
Yeah,
like it could store stuff in there like a pelican almost.
Yeah,
it's huge, and yeah, steroids and cocaine were not a good mix.
And the tassels on his arms as well. At this stage, you notice that they're very tight. He's got massive arms, but they're really tight to make his arms look bigger. Surely that gets to a point where it's uncomfortable.
I mean, surely you've tied shoelaces around your arms to pretend to. So, but did you tie him tight?
No, I did not. No. I didn't tie him tight, mate. I wasn't foolish. I didn't want my arms to hurt in case I was going to press slam someone above my head, you know?
Maybe that was the only way he felt pain, because he didn't sell any of the moves, did he? So
yes. So basically, after the match, you're saying when he's taking his gear off, he undoes the laces, and when Vince McMahon's ranting, like, "Why don't you sell?" He's like, "Sell? Look at that, my arm is bruised." You know, pointing at his bicep, like, "Oh, that's a chafing one."
Or maybe he was just doing it to find a vein.
Yeah.
For after,
so he's
for
a
his
smackhead as well.
Letdown. For his post-match come down.
My goodness.
Anyway. If it was anybody else, I'd apologise, but he did have some horrific opinions.
Yeah. So before we get sued by the Warrior Estate,
the Warrior Foundation. Yeah. I'm not winning the 2022 Warrior Award from WWE.
I don't know, mate. I've sent off an email suggesting you, so we'll see what happens, shall we? We have the entrances. Rude's dubbed theme is, as we mentioned earlier, sodding horrific. Yeah, but then he grabs the mic and runs through his usual pre-match spiel, and that is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, all you fat SummerSlam sweathogs.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll show your women what a real man looks like. Yeah. Peels off his robe and he's got those Ultimate Warrior airbrush pants. Brilliant.
Yeah, a crying warrior, Jesse Ventura or Tony Schiavone on commentary. Oh, by the way, Schiavone and Ventura on commentary. How great were they?
Yeah,
they're probably the highlight for me.
I actually forgot that it was those two that were on commentary. And I know Tony Schiavone's tenure in WWF wasn't that long, but yeah, they were really good. Schiavone's always kind of like really passionate about wrestling, and Ventura I think he was so underrated as a commentator.
Yeah, totally. Ventura and Schiavone had a good run in WCW as well. Mm-hmm. Not long after this, sort of that 92, 93 time when Worldwide was available over in this country on ITV and so on. Just brilliant stuff. Then the Warriors music hits, and I was 7, 8 years old again, mate.
And so was the crowd. I
It
mean,
was just screaming, shout that heavy metal riff and the running and the hair. So good, man, so good. You know, shaking the ropes.
They do a kind of like a pan out for the camera, and you get like a wide shot where he's running down the aisle, and it's like it's the aisle's got like a corner in it.
Yes.
And he runs around this corner, and the camera pans with him, and the crowd are all proper pumped up. Yeah, what a good start that was. Just like I said, he got a reaction from the crowd. He was as over as anybody in wrestling's ever been. Pity was bad at wrestling, but yeah, that was a cool visual.
Yeah, without a doubt. The match starts with effectively Warrior just dominating, really, doesn't it? And
dominating and no selling.
Yeah, just everything that happens, he just doesn't react to. He takes a stiff-looking kick from Rude, but again, Rude was so good, it probably barely touched the Warrior in reality, but it looked fantastic. Yeah, and the Warrior just no soul.
Kind of like sad back kick, and I think why this match got such a good rating was all because of Rude.
Yes.
He was amazing at selling. He made Warrior look absolutely devastating. I mean, even with that kick, which Warrior could have at least kind of like bent over a little bit to like absorb the impact. He did none of that. He just stood there like he was a brick wall. But Rude's reaction, like the shock in his face and like the worry and concern, Rude was amazing in this match. He really, really was.
Yeah, definitely. They end up outside. Fighting away out there for a bit, and then you get the brilliant moment. As a kid, I hated Ventura because I was a kid. I was buying into what was in front of me. As an adult, I appreciate him so much. When Rude grabs the belt and effectively just flat slaps it across. Sorry, the Warrior grabs the belt and effectively flat slaps it straight down across Rude's back, right in front of the referee. Ventura's screaming for disqualification. Tony Schiavone says, well, it was on the outside, which makes no sense at all in the you know. So which Ventura pulls him up on that and says, so you're telling me if you can get a gun and shoot someone, but if it's on the outside, that's okay because it's on the outside. It's just it's brilliant.
And that kind of links to what we've recently covered on A Change in Attitude, the Rick Bogner and Glenn Jacobs as fake Razor and Diesel.
Oh dear, rough time, mate, rough time.
Yeah, so Razor's debut match against Savio Vega, and that actually ends in a disqualification because Glenn Jacobs' Diesel holds the rope down so Savio can fall to the outside. So if that can lead to a disqualification, surely the ref witnessing assault with a foreign object, that should have been a disqualification as well.
Yeah. It's just the funny sort of double standards in wrestling, isn't it? I was listening to...
It's Joey Morella. He wasn't an amazing referee.
It's the quality of refereeing, not the...
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to today's Bang Bang on the way to and from work, and it was... I can't remember the guest's name. I hugely apologise there. But he was from a movie podcast, and he made a fantastic point in that when you see someone like set on fire in a coffin, like between Kane and the Undertaker and so on, it's effectively attempted murder. The police don't get involved, but Steve Austin will get arrested for just grabbing hold of Vince or something like that. And it's just the double standards and the funny, irony between everything and stuff,
It's the wacky world of professional wrestling.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Becky Lynch was arrested and then drove the police car back to the arena, which surely that's illegal, surely. But
it's theft it's theft, isn't it?
And what happened to the police officers in the car? So it's at least assault on a police officer, stolen grand theft auto. But yeah,
maybe that's why she went and jumped on Seth Rollins, got herself knocked up so she wouldn't get sent to prison. New mum, first offence, probably get away with it.
Yeah, well, slap on the wrist, a bit of a fine, community service, a parole. Do the probation they have, don't they, in America, or parole?
Yeah, that's it. Something like that, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway.
The wacky world, you cannot apply logic to wrestling. It's as simple as that. What is a rule in one storyline doesn't necessarily carry over. It's definitely not canon.
No, exactly, mate. Do you know what? Speaking of that, I heard that term again today as well about something being canon. And again, it's on Bang Bang podcast with the reference of the show they were covering not being canon, right? When we did last week's non-live episode, and you kept saying this episode is not canon, right? I genuinely had to Google that to see what that fucking meant. I had no idea.
Wow. But at least you no-sold it. At least you didn't go, what the fuck you on about? At least you internalised that.
Yeah.
What does he mean? He keeps saying this non-canon bullshit.
Non-canon. I was like, what is that? I kind of guessed what it meant, but I was like, no, I don't know what that means. So I had to Google it, and yeah, I figured it out from there, really. Anyway, eventually Rude gets a bit of offense in, doesn't he? When the Warrior ends up crotching himself on the ropes after Rude bumps into the ropes.
Yep.
Rude sort of puts a bit of offense on. You have a sleeper at one stage and a few other moves, but again, it's not long before we're back to the Warrior just powering up all the time and stuff, is it?
Yeah, I mean, even in this section, you see the suplex where you see Warrior selling a little bit, and then Rude is like slamming into his back, but Warrior keeps getting up to his knees, absolutely no selling. And even though I think Rude went for the Rude Awakening at this point. Warrior no selling that, broke the hands, gets the sleeper again. Warrior, he did a little bit selling with the sleeper. I thought that was good of him, I suppose. Goes down to one knee, hits the jawbreaker. They get the running the ropes and the collision with the referee. And then we get Rude is up first, so you would think he would then take the initiative and take control of the match. But then we get back to Warrior just no selling everything again. And then he essentially takes over with the clotheslines and the power slam, gets essentially a 5 count because the ref's out, unable to get the victory. Just the no selling from Warrior was one of his biggest downfall, aside from his political and his socio-economic leanings. The fact that he no sold was it was so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the ref bump, how good is again Bobby Heenan here, going over to his charge, his client, I suppose, putting Rude's eyes open, trying to bring him round before his opponent, saying he's out, come on, get up. Real subtle little touches that make you think if this was a legit situation, that is exactly what that person would be doing for their client. Just so simple, but it's genius.
It's the lost art of a manager.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, a couple of things I suppose need commenting on before we get to the finish, Magsy. Rick Rude, whenever he has to sell his lower back, I think it's just freaking brilliant. He does it in the same way as the awesome way he sells an atomic drop, which is, there's that Twitter handle, isn't there? Rick Rude sells atomic drops. Have you seen that one? Mm-hmm. And it's just, every tweet is just Rick Rude selling a different atomic drop. Go check it a follow if you've not seen it. You end up losing yourself for 20 minutes just watching Rick Rude selling atomic drops. It's brilliant.
he gets to sell one here as well. And the kind of like he almost leans on his own ankles the way he's stood holding his crotch, and then Warrior picks him up and just drops him straight on his arse. Yeah, really uncultured, really dangerous in a way as well, I suppose. Mm-hmm. We get a couple of odd moves then, don't we? Like that Rude goes for a pile driver that I think the Warrior just kind of screws up because he looks like he's going up for a power bomb partially. Mm-hmm. Rude has to kind of just drop him down, I guess. It looks like it almost like it takes it full on the head and the shoulders. And Warrior did a pile driver earlier in the match as well. Not a move that you see him do a lot of, but at least his pile driver looked safe. Whereas the one that Rude delivered, and this I don't think it is much on Rude's fault than it is the Warriors, but it did look a little bit brutal.
Yeah, from the Warriors pile driver, you got the ref coming over, making a count, and Rude just gets his foot on the rope just as the hand. Oh, that was superb. That was brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant timing.
Yeah. We get a weird fist drop kind of thing from Rude. It almost looks like the Warrior was supposed to get his feet up, or the Warrior was supposed to move, or Rude halfway through doing the move changed his mind, or something didn't quite look quite right there, did it?
Yeah, I think that was Rude kind of having to change what was happening mid performance because the Warrior basically forgot what he was meant to be doing.
Yeah, it looked like he was going in his head. He was going to do something else, and halfway through, sort of change it into this weird, almost like
Warrior's not in position, or is not looking like he's going to react. I best change this up quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we've got to be fair on both sides of the coin. Perhaps the Warrior was too far away. Perhaps Rude couldn't make the move he was supposed to make. Who knows? But something didn't quite go right there, did it? So,
and then we get Roddy Harper
and his arse.
So essentially, Roddy comes out to taunt Rick Rude. Rick Rude is they're still obviously in a feud. Rick Rude flexes. Harper turns around, lifts up his kilt, sees his arse. Rude is absolutely fuming. But this is setting up for Warrior to pull off what's probably one of his more impressive moves. I mean, I know it's assisted because of Rude climbing the ropes, but that wasn't a bad-looking German. It looked pretty brutal.
I mean, I think Rude's head looked like it went ba-bum, 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 and bounced around a bit.
Luckily, he had that clock spring style perm to
maybe that's what it was. Perhaps it was actually one bump, but his hair made him go up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah. Oh, so there you go. You want to be a pro wrestler and be looked after properly, just have a massive curly perm as like extra padding.
Correct.
That works. We get the I suppose the flying shoulder block. We get the gorilla press. We get the splash, and then we get the 1, 2, 3 Magsy, don't we? And the new Intercontinental Champion. The crowd go crazy.
They go mental.
Yeah,
absolutely mental. The crowd in 1989 absolutely adored the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah,
it was the right win. Rick Rude made Warrior look way better than he should have done. Warrior kind of he hampered the match with his no selling. But we mentioned earlier that this match definitely doesn't age well.
No.
But saying that, it's still one of Warrior's best matches.
I remember it being a lot better, and I reckon it was because I remember it fondly from when I was a kid. Because I remember this from when I was really little and had it on VHS tape. I don't remember it from a rewatch or anything like that. I'm talking God knows how many years, decades ago. But I always remember it being thinking Rick Rude was amazing. This match was incredible. This whole pay-per-view I loved. I'm intrigued now with the Warrior to sort of go back and don't worry, he's not my link this week. I'm not going to subject any more Ultimate Warrior anyway. But I'm intrigued now in a way to sort of almost look back on Warrior Hogan at WrestleMania 6 and Warrior Savage at 7 and just see what happens in those matches, with regards to his non-selling. Was it as bad? Was it not as bad? Or was it different because it was Hogan as opposed to Rude? Or that intrigues me now, Mags.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it on his cage match, this is actually the 7th highest rated match that Warriors ever had. So that's not good going. If this is in your top 7 matches that you've ever done in 2021's ours, this was not a good match. I mean, we're kind of telegraphing what kind of score we're going to give it. But yeah, it does make you think, kind of go back and look at DiBiase versus the Warrior from main event 4. Kind of go back and look at the Savage and Ultimate Warrior matches that got 4 stars. Would they really get 4 stars nowadays? It'd be an interesting thing to have a look back at.
Maybe we can try and find a way to those matches.
Strong arm them in.
Yeah, just link it somehow. Yeah. I suppose we come to our ratings now, my friend. Out of 10, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's not good. It doesn't, like I said, it hasn't aged well. So for me, it's certainly not the worst thing we've watched, but it's definitely nowhere near the best. So I can't say it's any higher than a 5.
Yeah, okay. VHS tape watching me, young kid me, would give this a 9. But we're looking at this in 2021, and I'm pretty much the same. I'm thinking more of a 6 when I initially reviewed it. 5 to 6 is a great shape. So
you always kind of like round up, I suppose.
Right, okay.
You're more positive about.
I don't know. Am I? I normally end up going lower than you, don't I?
No, I don't think. I mean, I'm usually the one who like shits on stuff a little bit more than you. you definitely wear the rose-colored glasses of the two of us.
I think. I don't know. I think I'm going to go 5 as well. I'm going to go 5 as well. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this when I was a kid. Now it probably is still the same level as the Straight Jacket Steel Cage match we once reviewed in our very first episode. So yeah, I think a 5 is a fair shape. Right middle of the road. It's not good, but it's not absolutely freaking dreadful. So yeah, a 5's pretty good.
So we've got a couple of comments in the chat that have come through whilst we've been discussing this match. Scottish Danny says Rude was an absolute magician on this night. Yeah, I have to agree. It's because of Rude and his selling that I would put this match at a 5. I think if it was anybody else, it would have been way lower. And he follows that up saying, it's so sad that Rick died at only 40. Imagine the psychology he could teach to the young guys today. Yeah, can you imagine him working with people in AEW?
Oh,
it'd be brilliant. And then 5 Nerds Go, like the sour face that he is give it a 2.
See, my chain wrestling listener of the week is mate 5 Nerds Go, just for saying Mr. Ass at his funeral. Just fantastic. That's the winner for me.
It's an absolutely great show.
Oh, Maxie, where do you want to go next?
Okay, so let's get a link going. So Rick Rude, Intercontinental Champion, kind of hot between promotions, never really settled anywhere for too long, but he was in 2 of the biggest factions that wrestling's ever had. If you remember, he was part of the original DX.
Yep.
And then that infamous week where he showed up on Raw, on ECW, and Nitro all in the same week, he joined the NWO.
Yes.
If you remember that. One of only 2 wrestlers who have been, taken away the abortion that was the 2002 NWO and Shawn Michaels.
Hey, no, we'll have no Shawn Michaels slander here.
No, I'm saying the kind of the reinvention of NWO with Shawn Michaels, Booker T, Big Show,
all that nonsense.
That was all horrific. So I discount that as part of NWO canon.
I know what that means.
You do. He knows words. So he's only one of 2 wrestlers who've actually been in both DX and in the NWO. Do you know the other one?
I would say it has to be Sean Waltman, doesn't it?
It is. It's X-Pac 6, the 1, 2, 3 kid. So I actually had a look to see what his best matches were, because I remember him being a very, very good wrestler. But I don't recall him having any kind of like standout 5-star matches. So I had a look on Cage Match to see what his best rated matches were, and he has 2 at 4.5 stars. He's actually got quite a lot of 4 stars and 3.25 stars. So he's got a good pedigree of wrestling. But I thought I'd go with one of the 2 4.5 star matches. The first one is Bret Hart versus the 1, 2, 3 kid from an episode of Raw in 1994, if you remember that one. But the one I wanted to go with, and I think it's because I don't remember this match. I don't believe I've seen this match. It was from a live kind of a group of shows that WWF did called Action Zone.
Okay.
So I did a little bit of Googling, and I found that this was a very short run show that they did in 1994, only lasted for 10 episodes. But it was essentially kind of like a recording of house shows. And he is in a match that gets 4.5 stars. It's Diesel and Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid in a tag team match.
Oh, that's my childhood right there, mate. Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Razor. That's fantastic.
So I thought I'll look for that. Looks upon the network for Action Zone. Cannot be found. Not
why would
available.
you dangle that in front of me and then why would you do that?
Whoa. Calm down. So I used my mouse and I started to search for 1-2-3 Kid on the network. And lo and behold, when you look through the matches, about 3 or 4 scrolls through the app, you find the match. And it's on a compilation video. It's actually on a compilation called Shawn Michaels Hits from the Heartbreak Kid. So if you're going to watch along or you're going to watch this before we record next week, and if it wins, search for Shawn Michaels Hits from the Heartbreak Kid. Whoa. Chain Wrestling now has new merch. It's brilliant. So it's about 17 minutes into this 2-hour-long Shawn Michaels Love-a-thon that you see this match. I honestly do not recall seeing the match, so I'll be excited to watch it, see why it got 4.5 stars if I win the poll. So that's what I'm going for. So it's on Cage Match. It's WWF Action Zone episode number 2 from the 30th of October 1994. Diesel and Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid, and on the network it is part of the Shawn Michaels Hits from the Heartbreak Kid collection.
Why? So I almost don't want to put anything up against that because I'll be quite happy to watch that myself. I don't think I've seen that, and this is strange because I thought I'd seen pretty much everything I could have Shawn Michaels, but I don't think I've seen that either. No. So that does sound awesome, especially if we've got 4.5 stars for a match that's on a sort of throwaway compilation tape, and it's a tag as well. 4.5 stars from old Shagger Dave Meltzer. That's quite an achievement. I'd be very interested in watching that. It's weird because I'm putting forward something that's like a real big deal of a big deal of a match, whereas you're finding the little obscure tucked away house show match. It's the wrong way round.
Yeah. we need to switch.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's it. Right, you can follow me at PodFatherMags on my selection is a lot more straightforward. Watching this SummerSlam 89, I really enjoyed. It reminds me of renting videotapes from the video library or getting videotapes for Christmas of old WWF wrestling. I really enjoyed watching this, the clips that we had and so on. I don't know. My wife's in the chat there saying, ew. What's she saying? Ew at? What have I done?
I think because we've switched around again.
Oh, swap sides. Oh, yeah. She says that I don't like it. Yeah, that's fair enough. Oh.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
There we go. Back the right way around now. Again, if people only listen to the audio, they've got no idea what we're talking about now.
Well, if you're listening to the audio, go on to youtube.com, search for Radio Techers, subscribe to the channel, and you get to see our horrific faces.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, even though the show is live, it's available to rewatch, well, straight away, Max, isn't it? Anytime you want, really.
Absolutely.
You know, so dive on in. Anyway,
like and subscribe.
That's it. I want to go for what is viewed, I suppose, as probably the biggest match from 1989. Randy Savage is all over SummerSlam 89. He's turned heel on Hogan. The Mega Powers have exploded. He's sided with Sherry, which I really enjoyed. Don't get me wrong, Elizabeth and Savage always, go hand in hand, don't they? But Sherry and Savage, I thought was a great combination.
Yeah, totally agree.
He's in the main event of this show here in a tag match
with Zeus.
With Zeus, that's right. The big blue cage that was involved, the Boss Man match, all that kind of era with Hogan and so on. Just just awesome. And the Mega Powers parting ways, I think, is one of the greatest long-term storytelling, one of the greatest examples of long-term storytelling the WWE have ever done. And I'd like to go and look at the sort of final stroke of that, or what we thought was the final stroke of that at the time, and that is the main event of WrestleMania 5 from 1989. I'd like to have a look at Hulk Hogan versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. The Mega Powers explode. Main event of WrestleMania for the WWF title.
Great pick. Another absolute banger of a match.
I don't think we've seen any Randy Savage yet on this show, have we, Max? Have we had any Randy Savage yet?
I don't believe so, which is an absolute shame. But then again, I don't think we've seen any X-Pac. So
we did X-Pac versus Tajiri. We did, didn't we?
Oh yes, we did.
That was bloody awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to see more X-Pac, vote for me. If you want to see Randy Savage making his chain wrestling debut, then vote for Sa.
There you go. Those are your options for the poll next week, which will be available on the show's Twitter at @chain_wrestling shortly after the audio version comes out on Wednesday. We have a match from, what is it called? Shawn Michaels Hits from the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah, the compilation on the, at least on the WWE Network. I don't know if it's translated over to the Peacock yet, but the compilation is called Shawn Michaels Hits from the Heartbreak Kid, and the match is Diesel and Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid. It's about 17 minutes into that compilation, but it was actually aired on a show called WWF Action Zone Episode 2.
Something that Mags and I have both not seen before. 4 guys who were absolute stars, and at least 3 of them were very, very good in the ring. And of course, Kevin Nash was there too. Or you can go and take a look at Randy Savage and, you know, the big orange one himself, Hulk Hogan, main eventing WrestleMania 5 for the WWF title. The Mega Powers explode. That whole feud, that whole long-term subtle storytelling, absolutely fantastic stuff. Again, the show's Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at @chain_wrestling. That's where you can find all the links to the shows, and so on. The poll will always be on the Twitter. However, Magsy, do we have anything else to add before we bid everyone goodbye?
No, I'm just glad to be back in the podcasting fold. It's almost like I regret going on holiday because I don't get to talk to you guys, and it's just good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, mate. It's good to have you back. So Max, where can we find you?
So you can find me on the Twitter at PodfatherMags. In terms of content, I am all over the shop, heavily involved here as part of this amazing team we've got with Radio Techers. Plenty of new content coming up down the pipeline. Projects with Ore and with Ray Cash are coming soon. One that we said we would mention involving your good self, sir. Let's quickly run a quick promo for that.
Cream soda.
Nice. You like cream soda?
Yeah.
You're a delinquent as far as I'm concerned.
I love cream soda, mate, but it's got to be the cheap £1 shit. The good stuff's too sweet.
That makes no sense in itself. Cream soda is rank. I don't know.
It's
not lemonade,
flavor, isn't it? That's all it is.
Now I like vanilla, but I don't like cream soda. It's rank.
Well, then you're the f***ing delinquent, ain't you?
Yeah,
I do like I like cream soda.
Yeah, and you are a fucking delinquent. So there's no lies told in that promo. I'm really looking forward to the waiting room coming. But yeah, in terms of my content, I do 5 rounds, which covers MMA. I do the Radio Techers watch-alongs and the rapid reviews. I'm also on the chair shot with a change in attitude and midweek mainstay with Tanner, Ori, and then with Ray. So yeah, I'm pretty much all over. You can also find my content on the Visionaries Global Media as well. So I'm pretty much everywhere. How about yourself, sir?
Well, you can find me at SJP Words. You have the return of the SJP Wrestling Podcast on Thursday via Radio Techers. The show's Twitter there is at SJP Wrestling Pod. The waiting room, as Magsy just brilliantly played that little trailer for us there, is very, very close now. Only a week or two away. We've got 1 or 2 episodes left to sort out. So it's nearly there. And we've had a great time recording it. It's been brilliant. Stalled slightly because Benny's been a bit poorly, and it turned out, speaking to him last night when we were recording an episode last night, he's been very, very poorly. He completely undersold it to me, so he has been very ill. So yeah, good that he's getting back on his feet. Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm looking forward very much to getting into season 2, to be honest, because that's when content really gets going. But yeah, hopefully your people will enjoy that. Yeah, and as always, at Radio Techers on the social media side, on the YouTube, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff.
Get your requests for merching, because that's something that is I'd love to dive into, and I know Sharon's chomping at the bit to pimp out some merch. So yeah, get your messages in and let us know what you'd like to see.
That's it. So on that note, again, you can follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at @chain_wrestling. Look out for the polls, look out for the non-wrestling topics. Thank you so much for everybody being involved again. It is hugely appreciated. Without you, this show would not happen. I'm off now to jump on some sketchy websites and download some elevator filth. Oh, yeah. Going down. Speak to you next week, Mags.
To the top floor, please.